you are at this stage now where you're coming out of the pandemic. How did this pandemic shape the business and the way you worked? I mean, certainly some of the things we're discussing now, like silos, access to various technologies, I can imagine may have presented some challenges, but perhaps there has been some innovation that's come from this as well.
Yeah, I think my personal experience with COVID was, we couldn't get into the office and our teams were distributed. So it was, I think on one hand, it forces people to communicate more
Mm-hmm.
and more regularly, because what you may consider through tacit communication or unspoken communication when you're sitting in an office together and in a room together, there's actually quite a lot of information flowing there, and you're just not aware of it. But everyone kind of gets it, right? You're kind of through osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on a call, on a video call, it's you lose most of that. So I
Yeah.
think being more explicit with communication, I think that's affected a lot of cultures that have a high predominance of nonverbal communication,
Mm.
and kind of implicit communication. They've been forced to become more explicit in the formulation of what they need by when, right? And so many cultures don't necessarily, that's not inherent to them. So I
Mm-hmm.
think Japanese culture is one of those, right? It's very much reliant on nonverbal communication, team consensus, team building, while you're in a physical space. And so that's not been obvious for them to make that transition. Being more communicative, I think, on regular basis. So before I do an all hands meeting every month, right, and then kind of lay out what's going on, what's happened, and what's coming up. But then I switched to weekly, right, and
Mm.
I made it much shorter because attention spans are shorter. But if you don't do weekly, then you lose touch because everyone's at home. That's your only touch point with your superior or your or management, right? And so management tends to get decoupled much easier than peers who are working together anyway. So I think be more communicative more often, be more explicit on expectations, and then managing work-life balance across time zones has been a bummer, right? It's really difficult to that there is no you make yourself available 24/7. That's also not very good. You try to block time off. It benefits one group, it doesn't benefit another. Rotating, there's not a good solution. And so, but I think we're all in this together was one of the things that I found is important. It's just
Yeah.
it's not going to benefit everyone all the time, but we're all just going to get a hit like once every couple of weeks. So just talk to your family, just get somehow them to agree to it, and then we'll just work it out together. And I think being kind of open and honest about that, I think helped
Yeah.
when a lot of people were anxious. A lot of people weren't seeing each other, and other people didn't know, didn't see couldn't see the end of the tunnel. And so I think, yeah, it was that's how we. I think that's how I changed the way I work with my team.